country, cisgender white male from the Northeast. Give it up for Trevor.
How about tequila, everybody? I'm kind of pissed that he stole my drink, but congratulations on getting through week 1, everyone. I guess you're here now, right? You're like, let's do something crazy. We did it. So this week is a good time, mostly because you're not supposed to be doing anything until you get to about those upper dip classes where the professor on day 1's like, hi, welcome to my class. All right, so chapter 1 is, but I pay most attention when they're talking about their attendance policy, because I need to, I schedule myself, and I'm just trying to find out how many days I can miss realistically. But I got into a class, and she said, the only reason that you can miss a class is if you have a doctor's note. And I said, well, that, I guess my hangover's too bad. It's not a really good excuse then. But then I got to thinking as I was walking home from a friend's house, I saw somebody getting transported, which is always so sad. But I was like, oh, wow, she's gonna have to go to the, actually, I don't know what gender it was. I don't know why I said she, that's embarrassing. This person smaller and thinner than me was definitely going to the hospital, who got me thinking, oh, they're probably gonna see a doctor. And the doctor will have to explain why they were there. Probably in the form of a note. Which is a really good way to get out of class the next day. The only thing that gets you out of class is a doctor's note. So the next time I'm drinking and I really don't feel like going to class tomorrow, people will be like, hey man, you're not looking too good. I don't know, like, you be able to function tomorrow? I'm like, make sure that I can. Just get a minute, man, you can't, you think it's a doctor's note. Someone call 911. This kid can't go to class tomorrow. Anyone know who Brendan Fraser is? So I didn't. I just thought he was like Gerard Butler before he got hot. Like I saw The Mummy and I was trying to talk about it. I was like, that one with Gerard Butler. And he's like cool. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's Brendan Fraser. I was like, oh, interesting. I just imagine that the casting director for The Mummy wasn't too stoked about it. They were at the board meeting. They're like, okay, so great. We think that Gerard Butler's gonna be a really good fit. And they're like, let's stop right there. We can't afford Gerard Butler, but I hear that there's this guy that kind of looks like him. It's a talented actor, but he's a little less cut, a little less handsome, and his voice isn't as good. But he kind of fills that role. And I imagine everyone on the set was really excited. They're like, oh, you're working with Gerard Butler. That's great. That's so exciting. Because top down running hierarchy, they don't tell anyone what's going on anymore. And Brendan Fraser shows up. They're like, what the fuck happened to you, Gerard? You don't look too good, man. What's going on? I just think that's kind of sad. Because, I saw 300 and I was like, oh, this guy's really cool. I bet he's great in everything he's in. And then I saw Olympus Down or something like that. The third of 5 movies that summer that came out about the White House getting attacked. And they're like, in a world. And I'm like, I've seen this before. They're like, bunch of white guys, because anything other than that would be racist. Attack the White House. I'm like, God, Hollywood, play it safe one more time. So I made plans the other day to go to Los Angeles in a couple of weeks, which is exciting. But it's a pretty fat city, right? There's 20 million people there or something like that, right? Can someone fact check me? There's a fuck ton of people, right? But I recently, and I say recently, but about 6 months ago, I dated this girl who was from Los Angeles, who doesn't go to school there. And the second I bought the ticket, I felt compelled to tell her, hey, I'm gonna be in Los Angeles in 3 weeks. Not because I wanted to meet up with her, but just because I wanted to avoid the situation where for some reason in a city of 15,000 million people, I bump into her and I'm like, hey, crazy, you're here and I'm here. She's like, why didn't you tell me you were coming? Oh my God. So I told her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be in Los Angeles. She's like, why would I give a fuck? Also, why did you call me? You definitely could have texted me that. I think it's it's really stupid that people try to express themselves with their clothes. Even more so that people think that that's like the pinnacle of expression and that they don't need to do anything more, like act or speak. And that you should be able to look at them and know what they're all about. But even primarily worse than that, this is like the utmost, is that when they just wear sentences across their chest. Because that's a little like in your face, you know? Like kind of like bold-faced. They're like, okay, I would love to express myself through my clothing, but I don't know how to do it, so I'm just gonna write sentences on my chest. And then you'll know all about me. That only works if it's kind of cool, but I saw this person recently who they were wearing a sweatshirt that just said, "This is my too tired to function sweatshirt." I said, "How are you standing? Can I get you something to eat or drink? Are you from here? Do you live near here? Where's your bed? Get some sleep, child." Unfortunately, this was, I imagine, a 12-year-old. It was a very small person, but old enough to be making decisions about what they want people to think about them. And this is what they decided. I'm like, where are your parents too? Don't they give a shit? And like, her parents are definitely like, we're not her parents, we're her friends. She can do what she wants. I'm like, she can't do anything, she's too tired. Literally, I know this because I read her shirt. My mom's been, she's getting a little on in years, a little long in the tooth, as they say, and which she hates when I say, and even more when I tell people. But she's been getting acid reflux, and she didn't know why, and she was telling me, and I'm like, Susan, I'm not a doctor. She's like, what should I do for it? Again, see Exhibit A. Still not a doctor. But I was like, you can go see one, though. They have those. People with medical experience. So she goes to the doctor's office, and the doctor's like, all right, so what's happening? Acid reflux is when your stomach has too much acid in it, and it goes like your stomach coughs, and gets up all in your throat and esophagus and shit. My mom's like, oh, wow, crazy. Why is that happening to me? Why is my stomach so acidic and sassy? And the doctor's like, okay, well, primarily there's three things that cause acid to build up in your stomach. Alcoholic beverages, coffee, and seltzer. Mom's like, oh, I can live without seltzer. That's easy. She's a good mom. And I love her very much. So I went home for a break after a couple of days, which was nice. It's good to be home. I'm from Connecticut, which is about it's like a 4-hour flight there, but then it's like a 15-hour flight home. Back here, I should say. They're like, it's the headwind. I'm like, I know you can get there in 4 hours. Get there in 4 hours back. I mean, it's just air. You're flying a giant metal projectile. It's like, I've never, been shot at, ever. But if I had been shot at, and I was like, oh, the wind's on my side. Like, thank God. And they're like, how did you survive those bullets? I'm like, well, I was running with the tailwind. And they barely broke my skin. That's like Superman's whole thing. He's actually not that tough. He's a good meteorologist. But I went to the airport, and I recently turned 21, and so I was like, oh, cool, I'm into work, might as well live it up. So I went to the airport bar, which was exciting, all alone. The worst is, I was like, oh, I'll sit in the middle of these 3 stools, and then someone will have to sit next to me. But I neglected to see the 8 other stools along the other side, and everyone else sat there. And I was like, do they think they're like complicit? Do I look that young? They're like, oh, you're serving an underage child. I look young. But I got 3 drinks because I'm balling, and I don't want to tell you how much I spent. I could have balled somewhere like Mexico or Cancun. I guess Cancun's in Mexico. That's what Nikhil gets it. But you know, JetBlue's a pretty good airline, so I was like, oh, well, I started needing to go to the bathroom, and I was like, I don't want to crack the seal right now, because I'm going to have to go on the plane. So I'll just go once on the plane, and then I'll be fine. So I get to the gate, and I'm like, okay, cool, 10 minutes, we'll be up in the air, and the fasten seatbelts I will turn off, and I'll be set. But then it started to I don't know if you drink, or if you're cool. But I'm standing there, and I start kind of feeling the build-up, and I'm like, oh, wow, can I I gotta go. I'm standing next to this girl that I like met once at a bar, and I'm like, or at the Claremont, I should say. It's not a bar, it's at the place. And then, when I stand next to her, she's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's really good, whatever." So we get on the plane, and then I was to sit down. I'm like, "Okay," and then I'm like, everyone's kind of taking a long time. I'm like, "Come on, everybody, get on the sit down!" Gotta pee really bad, man. So everyone's getting on the plane, and then we like taxi like 10 feet, and then the pilot gets on the intercom. He's like, "Good afternoon, everybody. So we're gonna be starting with tarmac for about 45 minutes here. And, for some of you who have a good book to read, that's great news. But for those of you who have to go to the bathroom," I was like, "Shit." Or pissed, I should say. So I'm starting to like really bloat, like really bad, right? I'm sitting in my seat and I can't get comfortable because there's just a lot of pressure. So I'm like leaning forward and then leaning back, and then like the girl that I met once at a bar is sitting behind me, and she's like, "Do you recline or something?" And I'm like, "Ah." So we finally get up in the air, and it's been an hour since I decided that I don't need to pee that bad. It is now DEFCON 2. Scramble the jets. And we're getting up in the air, and I don't know if you don't realize how long it takes to get to cruising altitude until you're like paying attention to it. And so I'm like waiting as we're like climbing the feet slowly into 36,000 above sea level, and I'm like sitting there waiting, going like, "Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on." Like, sitting back and forward, like trying to like, it's like a spring, and you know if you like work it enough, it slowly loses elasticity. So I'm like sitting there thinking like maybe I can do that to my bladder. And like it'll slowly just sag out of my body, and I just go like, "Ah, someone take this for me." And then the flight attendants start walking around. They're like, and like the guy gets back on the intercom. He's like, "Hello everybody. We realize this is taking a long time, so we're gonna give you guys some complimentary water. Isn't that great?" Son of a bitch. And nothing's worse than seeing like 15 people all around you going like, "I'd love Dasani." And the flight attendant was like, "Hey, do you want one?" I was like, "Bitch, no!" But I was like, "Oh, well, I have you. I know the fasten seatbelt sign is on, but I've made a huge mistake. I really need to go. And I'm concerned because I don't know if this is against the law to get up while the fasten seatbelt sign is on. And I'm a law-abiding citizen, like most people with guns, apparently." So I couldn't help myself. That was not planned. She's like, and she gets all cool. She like looks at me. She's like, "I can't tell you that you can't get up, but I also can't tell you that you can get up. All I can tell you is that the fasten seatbelt sign is on." I said, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with that?" She's like the cool cop at the end of the movie when like the vigilante really wants to kill the bad guy, and the cop's like, "I can't tell you, you're not supposed to kill." Do what you must. And then the vigilante punches the shit out of him until he dies. But so I said, "Okay, cool, good to know. All right." But I knew that if I get up when the fasten seatbelt sign was still on, everyone was going to go like, "Oh wow, it really must be an emergency." Especially if it's against the law, which I still don't know yet. But eventually I bring myself to get up, and I'm like, and I stand up, and I'm like, "Jesus, get me out of this thing!" And I just like, I'm like, walking to the, and like, you know what, like there's like 2 in the back, and there's 1 in the front, and there's none in the middle. I was like row 17 of 40, and I couldn't make up my mind, but I didn't want to go to the front because that's where like the desirables sit. And the better than it. So I go to the back, and I get in, and the flight attendant gives me like a knowing wink. So I get into the bathroom, and we're like kind of still at this like incline, so I'm like bracing myself, but like my stomach hurts so bad that I like need to like hold it. And so I'm just like freehanding this piss, like, and it's not big, you know? And I don't know if you've ever been lightheaded during you had to pee so bad that you were like losing consciousness. But this was kind of the situation here. And I'm like at an incline, holding my stomach. I can't do it here right now, but just like slow, like sinking, like, and also I started getting scared because it was taking way too long, and I would like, you know how like when you go to the bathroom, you're like, oh, I have to think about what I'm doing, like you have to like go like, all right, body, pee, and like, and whatever voluntary bullshit is going on just happens, and you get to do it. So I'm like standing there, and I could be thinking about anything. I could be like reading a book, and it's just coming out. There's so much pressure. And I thought it was gonna be like I started getting nervous because I thought it was gonna be like a dam when like, you know how like in movies when dams break, all it just goes like, and then like nothing is coming out. And you're like, oh my god, it's all crazy. And then like a little bit is like squirting out, and then all of a sudden it just goes. Like I was like, I think I ditched a balloon. Like I thought it was gonna like just a little, and then like. Ladies, it's fine. So I finally finished, but I was like so sick to my stomach that I realized that I had to get, and then we're still going real, and then all of a sudden we like kick it in, like the pilot's like, fuck this shit, let's go faster. And I'm like, oh no! So I'm like, how do I get from this position to like this, you know, this one, where I'm on it, right? But I can't stop. I don't have that willpower. So I was like, and I was like, oh, okay, there's paper. All right. I'm like, it did not go well. It was everywhere. I don't know if you're like an art guy. That bathroom sold for $15,000. I call it lavatory in yellow. Fuck me. That's it. Thank you guys.